Hello, everyone. This is my podcast, Anything But Ordinary, and this is episode 8. And my guest, and this is part 2 of episode 8 because the first one was Holly, and now it's Micah Face. And here you go. Can you please introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Micah. Uh,
Yeah. So, what can you tell about yourself?
Um,
Hard question.
Very hard question. Nothing too interesting. I'm a new dad. What else? I don't know. That's like the most important thing in my life right now. So that's what I got. I'm a new dad.
Yeah. How is it to feel dad?
It's the scariest and the most amazing thing I've ever done in my life. I put off, I don't want to say I put off. I was worried about having a child initially, just because, I mean, who's ever ready financially or emotionally or anything like that? But all the advice I got from current parents were, you know, once you have your first child or your second child or whatever, you realize, like, why did I wait so long? And as soon as she was born, that was how I felt, was why did we wait so long? So
So it's really interesting because it seems to me, again, like I lived a very long time in South Korea where people at 26, 27 just start moving out from parents. And
mhm.
it's quite normal for them, like not to start family that young. So
Yeah.
for me, it's like 27, 28 or around 30 is where like Asia is still like working hard and like, not thinking about kids. So for you to be 27, 28 and already being a dad, I think it's pretty impressive.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely a challenge,
yeah.
but
So like not so long time ago, you were a kid yourself. What can you
yeah.
tell about your childhood?
I lived a pretty ordinary childhood. Um, I mean, I still have, my parents were divorced, but that's relatively normal in the US. But I still had both my parents, and I did get to see both of them. I did live a very sheltered childhood, and I didn't know that until, I got out from high school and I started to meet people, and I realized I never went camping and I never really did much other than, stay in my hometown and do things around the neighborhood. Like, I didn't have a lot of these interesting experiences that most people had. My parents kind of kept us at home. And I think part of that was because my brother and I were the second set of kids that my mom had. And both my mom and my dad were older when they had us. So I think they were kind of already past the going out and doing things stage. So we were just kind of along for the ride, I guess.
How do you get along with other brothers and sisters?
That's also a very interesting question. My brother and I think we got along like a typical set of brothers he's about 2.5, almost 3 years older than I am. So we fought a lot, but we didn't fight to the point where we hated each other. But the relationship with my sisters, I have 3 sisters. That's a little more interesting because my oldest sister is she's a little over 20 years older than I am.
Oh,
Yeah. So in a way, and my other 2 sisters are close to that age as well. So any of my sisters were old enough to be my mom.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it was a very interesting situation because I feel like most older siblings do kind of raise their younger siblings to an extent, but my sisters literally could have been my parents. So it was very odd, and there was some family drama with that where they kind of competed with my mom for stuff.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
but But I mean, it's as I'm getting older, I'm starting to find a more normal relationship with my sisters because now I'm having kids and they've had kids, and
Yeah.
I'm
More
getting in a
toys
point.
in common. Yeah.
Exactly. Whereas even up until I was 25, like I had nothing in common with my sisters.
Yeah. It's interesting how life changes and shows you like from different perspective, different people, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Your own relatives.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your best memory from your childhood?
It's, I think probably, I don't know if I have a singular memory.
That is many, but just something that just comes first to your mind.
What comes to my mind is when I lived in Wrightwood. And that's like a little mountain town in Southern California. We lived there till I was like 5-ish, and I didn't really know why I loved that time in my life so much until I started going out and going camping and stuff. And I realized it's probably because I do love the wild and I do love being outdoors and whatnot. But I just remember being a kid and taking hikes in, like around town, which around town was the woods. And we had a big, I don't say a big backyard, but we had a big slope that went downhill in our backyard because we were on a mountain. So the backyard kind of went down. So we would sled into the backyard and we'd pick raspberries and blackberries that we had growing on the fence. And it was just that time of my life was probably, I don't know, fun as a kid.
Pleasant and easy, yeah. It's interesting how like childhood memories, what just brings happiness, are just so like not about like money or material things. It's literally one of my best memories is like wind, like nice warm wind blowing into my face, and I'm just playing with my hair, and I'm like going like this, and like literally it's just that pure happiness that you feel. It's not about even like money or what you can buy or do.
Yeah.
So let's just switch a tiny bit because I know that childhood is a really interesting thing. And I'm just interested because I was also asking Holly what I basically ask each and every of my hosts what influenced on your choices of your life, of choosing your profession. Is anything connected with your childhood or no? Or did you just like grow up and you're like, you know what, I just decided to be this? So.
My childhood really didn't influence my profession too much, and it also kind of depends on what we're talking about as far as profession goes, because I did start my professional career as a personal trainer.
Yeah.
I did that for, if we're talking every personal training thing I did that for about 7-ish years, 8 years maybe.
That's a long time.
Yeah, and it was so long because I started when I was like 18. I started right out of high school. I hooked up with a program in San Diego where I went to community college, and I got my training certificate right out of high school, and I started doing group training and stuff. And I think what influenced that decision was that, sad to say, it was kind of a money thing. I was trying to figure out how to pay for a 4-year education, and I thought at the time that personal training would be kind of an easier way to make enough money to pay for college without getting student loans. Come to find out, personal training actually takes a lot of your time and a lot of your mental capacity, and you spend your life at the gym basically if you're a personal trainer. So that's kind of what influenced my first career, I guess.
Yeah, but you're still into sports. It's not like, you hated this profession. You literally.
No, I loved it. And I think to some extent I'll probably do some form of personal training for my whole life, just because I enjoy working with people and helping them become healthy. And I think it was probably a really good choice for me to start my professional life as a personal trainer, because I learned a lot about myself, and I learned about what I really cared about through that career. I learned that I cared a lot more about people than I thought. I learned that I love to help people with problems. In that field, it's with health problems to some extent. I'm not a doctor, but I'm helping them get healthier through fitness, and that just kind of that's influenced me to this point, because I still enjoy helping people, even if it's painting or, fixing a roof or whatever. I don't think I would have discovered that about myself if I wouldn't have done that.
And here, our conversation can go two different routes. One question that I really want to ask you is like, what is your, because you're kind of hinting on that your profession changed from personal training to something else. But then I still want to like go back to your personal training experience and ask you, did you ever had crazy clients?
That's a yes on that for sure.
What was their craziness about? What did they want?
Oh man. I think just expectations. Some people, they think, because I don't know if any of your listeners have ever had a personal trainer or whatnot, but in the US, personal training is very expensive.
Yeah, anywhere.
And a lot of people, when they pay for something, normally you're paying for something tangible that you get in your hand. You go to the store and you buy an orange, and you buy the orange and you have the orange in your hand and you can eat the orange. But when you're purchasing personal training, you're purchasing almost an idea, what I try to equate it to is you're purchasing knowledge.
You're purchasing labor, I think.
What?
You're probably purchasing labor as well, but you don't understand you're purchasing your labor that you have.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good way to put it too. But a lot of people with that price tag expect in a week they're going to be, super skinny, have a six pack, and it's like it doesn't work like that.
Yeah.
So that's mostly what it stems from.
Oh man, it does remind me some of my students also who tried to learn English, and they were like, "Here is $200. Like this is for five lessons," and it's like 5 lessons. I studied 5 years in university. You can't just do it like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. So anyways, it shows me that psychology of people is still same everywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell me about your choice of profession now.
So after I met my wife, Holly, I wanted to spend as much time with her as I could. And I ended up actually making the decision early on in our relationship because, as I mentioned previously, personal training is a very time-consuming job. You pretty much, I would go to the gym at 4 or 5 a.m. and I'd be there till lunchtime, and then I'd go get lunch or go home or hang out in the break room for an hour, and then I'd go back and I'd be there from 1 or 2 to 8, 9 o'clock, sometimes 10 at night. And that wasn't every day, but if you wanted to be successful, that's what you did. And, when I was doing the best as a trainer and making the most money and helping the most people, that's what I did.
Yeah.
So when I met Holly, I started to cut back on my hours, and I made that sacrifice. And the more I was doing that, the more I realized maybe this isn't the best career for a family, because we were starting to get serious, and I knew we wanted to have a family. So I'm like, well, let's switch gears. And I segued personal training into my first idea, which was physical therapy, because I figured it's still physical. It has to do with the health of people. I'm good with the human body. I understand it pretty well. And, better job security, better money, all the above, right?
Mm-hmm.
Come to find out, PT school, for the effort and time and all that, is more expensive than it's worth, really. And the more I talked to people who are in the profession, they kind of agreed, because it used to be more of a certificate program, and then it was a bachelor's, and now it's all the way up to a doctorate, and it's very expensive. So I've segued into teaching. So my goal now is to get my master's and my credential in teaching so I can help people in other ways. And that's kind of how I've segued into it, is I'm still helping people, and I'm actually helping young people who can, grow and hopefully use the things that I've taught them throughout their lives. So
yeah, that's really good. It's good because you're such a family that tries to help. Because I remember when I first arrived to America, you were just like, if you need anything, let us know. So for me, it's like I don't say these words if I don't mean it. So I think I really found the same kind of set of minds here with Holly and you. So I really appreciate it. You're a very helping family. So I can see that Holly want to help young kids, you want to help other adults and stuff. But I want to switch to keto diet. I know that's like far from anything what I I see your reaction. I really need a couple words about your attitude to keto diet. Every world person I think read about keto diet and people get crazy about it. What's your opinion? Is it worth it for 3 months or is it not? Or you would never recommend it to anybody?
I would not recommend it to anyone. I guess the only caveat to that would be if you need some sort of gimmicky thing to get started, it is a way to use, a diet, quote unquote, to help you get there. But from what I had learned from all my studies, both in school and out of school, is kind of counterintuitive to what the keto diet is. And it's that your body does need carbs, but it doesn't need donuts and, ice cream ice cream is carbs, but it doesn't need, your body does need those things, whereas keto diet, starves you of those things. And then the more I had people ask me about it, the more I said, okay, well, I know this from my schooling, but I don't want to just say, this is true because I know it. I wanted to give people a resource that explained it to them. And through the research that I did through different research articles and stuff, basically said that you can lose weight doing keto and you can lose weight without keto, but keto can be very dangerous sometimes because you're starving your body of a critical nutrient that you need. So if you do that for an extended period of time and you don't do it the right way, then you can hurt yourself.
Yeah, because you're not a doctor, you don't know, you're not like a certified nutritionist. You're a basic everyday person, right? Like I don't know like what to eat, like what not. Like I still read a lot because right now, once I'm getting older, I figure out like, you know what, I should think of what I'm eating. But more or less all my life, I was eating rather healthy, what I figured out. And I was like, oh, that was quite intuitive. So when people actually rush into diets, I don't think it's very healthy way. Yeah.
I mean, truth be told, I don't really think any quote unquote diet is healthy because diets are temporary, like it's meant to be done for a certain period of time and then you stop.
And then everything goes back.
Exactly. And then you gain back everything you had. So I don't agree with most diets, but keto's definitely towards the bottom of the list there.
So you hear people, be careful. So tell me, please, I know like it's like work time and all that, but I still think that I have to show to listeners another side of you, which is like, you're not only like a professional, you're also a person that has hobbies, that have kids, like kid, but to have more, I think.
Singular, soon to be plural. Well, not soon, but in the near to distant future.
Right. So tell me about your hobbies. I know you do a lot of stuff in your home by your own hands. Is it considered as your hobby or do you have any other hobbies?
I would consider it a hobby. So I like a lot of different things, though. Most of those things include being physical. Like I love exercising. I love playing sports when I can. But then I also love board games and I love playing video games. And I don't know, I think my least favorite thing is TV. So anything I can do to not watch TV. I like movies, but like just TV shows, I feel like kind of you can sit on Netflix for like 3 days straight and binge watch whatever show, and you just wasted 3 days of your life, So, but I think really one of the things that I've had the most fun lately doing is just working on my house, like building something with my own hands that I can look at for the next 50 years and say, wow, I remember doing that and smacking my thumb with a hammer or dropping this on my head, or and it's just like there's stories behind everything, which in
Right.
addition to looking at something that you did that's beautiful, like there's a story behind it too.
Yeah, I know also one more of your hobbies is Dungeons and Dragons. I think I would prefer you to explain like a tiny bit about this game because like I have never heard about this game before I came to US.
Okay.
What can you tell?
Oh man, I might be the wrong person to ask. Dungeons and Dragons, the way I understand it and the way we kind of play it is it's a fantasy game. And the true Dungeons and Dragons does have like its own realm and stuff, and it has its own book of characters and things you can do and whatnot. But I think many people can customize it how they want it. Like we've done a Star Wars Dungeons and Dragons, and I think we've talked about doing a Lord of the Rings one. But it's basically like you can create a universe and a character within that universe, and that character has certain abilities, and you go through a story that Dungeon Master sets up, and you just kind of go through the story, and it's kind of a way to escape and have fun with your friends.
Yeah, this game definitely requires a lot of imagination.
Yes.
Definitely.
And
if you're not in playful mood, that just sucks.
Yes.
You really have to be in the mood.
Yes, you do.
Well, that's pretty interesting. How do you find time for all that with Magnolia?
Right now, I don't. Right now, my night revolves around her and anything that she needs.
Right.
I do still work around the house, but luckily my wife is very gracious and loving and watches her while I do stuff for the house.
Yeah. So we can hear Magnolia at the back. So like,
yep.
That's live, guys. So and how do you think your future life will change? Like, how do you see your future life?
Well, I know that we're planning on having another child. We'll see when that happens. But I would kind of like to have another child sooner rather than later so they can be closer in age. As I mentioned previously, I want to get my teaching degree so I can be on the same, so I can have a new career that works with my family life. But it'll be nice to have the same schedule as my wife, and we can take vacations during summer and see family and all that. So those are really the two big things that I see in the future. I'd like to travel more at some point once we get this house fixed up and
right.
We both have a job and everything's more stable and this virus is gone. So
yeah, completely.
Those are really the three big things that I would like to do.
Yeah, like you really sound like a very responsible adult, really.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I do my best too.
Yeah.
So if you could go back, like, and you have a ability to change something in your life, would you change anything or no?
I don't think so because, and this is something that I'm not some wise monk, but if I come across a younger person, not younger, like a lot younger, but who I can see where I was at certain points in my life, I always tell them, like, don't worry about wasting time. Don't worry about, making bad decisions. All those decisions lead you to where you need to be, And are there things that I would like to change from my past? Sure. But do I really want to have changed them? No, because all the decisions that I made led to me meeting my wife, and now we have a beautiful baby girl, and I wouldn't want it any other way. So
it's interesting because every time when something bad happens in life, you kind of wonder, like, oh, if I knew about it, like, can I change it or can I change it? But then once everything stabilizes and everything feels good, you think, oh, but if that bad thing didn't happen, I wouldn't have what I have today.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, any experience is a learning experience, whether it's good or bad. So
yeah. And I really treat life like a tiny bit of a computer game. If you don't learn, it will just return you back to the same level again and again.
Mm-hmm.
Once once you pass it, and then you're like, oh, dang, that was my mistake. So like, and then you level up.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, that was my rant.
No, that's okay. It's a good way to think about it.
What can you tell to the listeners of this podcast to inspire them?
Oh, man. I think, I don't really know if this is inspirational, but again, not that I'm some wise monk, but I feel like hard work is underrated. And if you work hard and you're a nice person and, you're generous to others and kind to others, like, I don't think your life can go negative from there. Like I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does. It does. It basically, like you're saying what my yoga teacher probably would say, hey, be good, be gentle, and life will be good and gentle around you.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Well, sorry, I kind of put the words in your mouth.
No, that's exactly what I was trying to say. Because I feel like, if you're looking out for yourself too much or you're being selfish or whatever, like things come around. But if you're kind to others and you love everybody and try to help as many people as you can, like people treat you well and, life treats you well. So it's worked out for me so far.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your sharing. I really appreciate it. And like, I really started this idea of having a podcast because I think that everyday heroes are here. Like our friends, you don't have to be a celebrity to be a hero.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, for me, like Holly is a hero because she thinks about how to raise other kids too. You're a hero because you want to help other people too, to be healthier, to care about themselves.
Yeah.
So, I hope, that, with the help of my podcast, it will spread out. The good vibes will spread out in the world.
Hopefully, yeah.
Thank you so much, Micah, for today. I'm really happy to interview you. And I hope I will do, after some time, another interview with you and Holly, like maybe next year and see what's changed.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Bye.
Bye.